All right, this is the Best Talks. I am Dr. Bonita Best here with Calvin Childs. Now, on the Best Talks, you know that we cover topics like fashion, business, cybersecurity, and other diverse topics. Now, our topics are helpful to those that are dreamers, dream catchers, and information seekers. So today I'm uber excited to have Calvin Childs, and we're going to learn a little bit more about him, but I'll just summarize a little bit about him, what I know. So he is a photographer, also a brand owner, and he also have recently launched the BOUP News. And we're going to talk about BOUP News in a little bit. Welcome, 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 Calvin. How
Well,
are you?
thank you for having me. Thank you
How
for
are
having
you?
me. Pretty good, pretty good. I'm fine.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too.
All right. So I wanted to give you a moment to talk about yourself a little bit, give a little bit of background, your humble beginnings, and we'll go from there. I have a few questions for you.
Okay, great. Well, again, my name is Calvin Childs. I've been a photographer for 24, 25 years, primarily shooting models. I started out shooting models in late 90s, just kind of shooting them in Philadelphia. And I built that into a business. And I've been doing this for quite some time. But about 5 years ago, I kind of got to the point where I said, what good are the images for me that I have on my hard drive? I felt that the images that I shoot needed a home. And I also feel, as being a Black photographer in particular, we're sort of unrepresented in the industry of pretty much across the board in all industries. So I wanted to build a platform where when I do a photo shoot, primarily models and fashion shows and things like that, I have a home where these images can go other than just my hard drive or to the designer or something like that. So that was kind of how I built BOUP News. And it didn't exactly start back then, but it was a thought. And over time, I kind of fine-tuned that thought into what I have today, which is a company I started several months ago. It's called BOUP News. And what it basically stands for is the Best of Us Productions. What I did was I wanted to gather all of the best people that I knew, which primarily were Black folks all across the world, to bring them together to put together a production. This production would be everything from the photography to the videography to having a platform to put this media out to the masses. And the challenge was finding people. And I realized that I had many of these tools. I am finding people now to come on board, but the challenge was really stressful and challenging. But the company exists now.
Yeah, so what kind of challenges did you encounter as it relates to launching BOP News and getting people engaged?
Yeah, absolutely. Initially, it started out as an Instagram page. And one of the first things was going to designers, letting them know, say, hey, I have a media company and I like to come and photograph your fashion show and not charge you anything. I just want to photograph your fashion show and put it out to the media. Designers looking at me like, this is different. This is different. Why would you want to do that? And
Especially for free.
yeah, I had to explain to him. I said, this is something that's needed. And I believe in the thing, if you do what you love, the money will come. And all I wanted to do was get this information out because I felt that there are great designers and great models all over America where I live. I wanted to just kind of put them out there. So I said, I built this platform on Instagram. I said, if nothing else, I'm gonna put these models out there on Instagram. I seek to hopefully have a large following, and here's how I'm gonna do it. So that was step one, getting the designers to commit. Step two was, as the company grew, and it's really growing fast, I realized I couldn't be the one constantly holding the camera and interviewing the designer. So my next challenge was getting fashion commentators. I wanted people who were in the know, have a knowledge of fashion, and would be interested in interviewing models. I initially went after other models to see if they would find it as a win-win for them to do it, and I would get them in the shows and things like that. But that was a huge challenge. You know, I now have a few, but it was a huge challenge in getting them on board and having them be willing to come on board for sweat equity, especially in the beginning.
Yeah, so that's a really clever and innovative approach where initially your thought, the budding idea was, where am I as a photographer going to store all my great images of, all these models and et cetera that you've captured over the years, where do they land? And then it spun into expanding to BOP News, and now it has grown into this media network and et cetera, where it has not only just the models, but now designers and the best of in the fashion industry. And I guess, is it a particular targeted audience that
Yeah,
or
well,
targeted, people that
yeah,
you're focused on?
absolutely. Here's the thing. It is a unique market. If I can go back to the last conversation we had, one of the things I wanted to do as a photographer, when I would get invited to fashion shows a lot as photographers. These would be independent designers in the neighborhood and throughout the country. They'll say, "Hey, can you come and photograph my show?" But what the reality is, what we call the mainstream media, they weren't at this show. It would just be a bunch of photographers, and it'd be a bunch of designers who have a small market in the industry where they might make between $100,000 and $300,000. In the big picture, there's no money. It's a small market, and they might have a little shop, and they might sell 300 dresses a year or 500 dresses a year. That was the market that I was serving. Unfortunately, in the big picture, that market of people or designers are not getting in the big stores, and they're not being looked at. So, but these people still need press. They still need to be recognized. They still need, a media outlet. So I wanted to provide them with that media outlet. So I don't seek just to be the only photographer out there to do this. I am looking for other photographers to come on board. Just like you see Getty images on a lot of the runway fashion images that you see. Now you're going to start seeing BOP images on the bottom of these photographs. We primarily focus on or designers of ethnic or African descent. I'm just going to be frank with you. That's our market. That's who we're targeting. It's a niche market. I believe that there's numerous people that are interested in purchasing and buying things that African people of African descent sell and make. So I just kind of cater my readers and viewers and everything to that market.
Thank you for that. I have put myself on mute because I wanted to tune in, but it's really great that you have honed in or have your niche in people of African descent. And that's your niche, which is really great because sometimes, like at some of I guess the big fashion houses, they do have a lot of photographers that submit to Getty and etc. And we have some regional and domestic photographers or international photographers that also submit to Getty. How would someone with the African descent be able to submit to BOP News or to you so that they can have their images featured on this platform, which is dedicated to people of African descent?
Absolutely. That's a great question. We love contributors. They can submit via the web, the Instagram, or however. Just submit the images, give us the information associated with the image, who's the designer, what show was this in. We'll definitely take a look at it, and we'll be more than interested in submitting all or just about anything that is from people of African descent on our platform.
And that with the focus on the fashion industry. Things that's
Right.
happening.
Right, exactly. Our focus is the fashion industry. We aim to deliver fashion news, may that be on the runway or in the street. We want to, discuss trends that are going on. We have a segment called What Are You Wearing, where people from different parts of the country, different parts of the world talk about what they're wearing. So you could be in New York City, we might ask you, what are you wearing? You can be in Baltimore, we might ask you, what are you wearing? And that's where people just kind of stop and say, hey, this is what I'm wearing. And it's just kind of gives people an idea of what people are wearing in different parts of the world, how they dress in different parts of the world. That way, that can inspire other designers and other models. And that's how new things are created, by people seeing what's going on. Right now, you don't necessarily know what people are wearing in Saudi Arabia unless you've been there, or unless you get that information. You don't necessarily know what people are wearing in Poland or in Australia or in Africa. Just like there's some mega huge companies that we might think are great, like Nike. There's some countries that might not never heard of Nike. So that's why we have that segment, What Are You Wearing?
Yeah, it sounds like BOP News, and especially with this segment of What Are You Wearing, it gives more exposure to the designer, which expands their reach than, the runway or a magazine that may be just subscription based, limited to those that subscribe. So you're opening the doors for them to be potentially exposed to other people, which could increase their bottom line, increase their reach to new customers, and etc. So it definitely sounds like an asset or a benefit for them to partner with or have BOP News there.
Yeah, absolutely. But don't get it twisted. We are interested in getting subscribers. You could subscribe from the Instagram page, and we have other things that we have for our subscribers. You could subscribe online, and we have additional. You don't get just what you see online. You get additional stuff. You get the newsletter. You get other things and perks and things that we have specifically for our subscribers. Same thing with our YouTube page and some of the other platforms that we're on. You can definitely still subscribe. And again, right now, we don't necessarily have a platform where people of ethnic descent is constantly seen and put on stage as premier in many cases. Now you do. And we're hopefully there'll be many more BOP companies or type of companies that are out there, but we're just one, and hopefully we do a good job at this. But with the support of people, I think that's what we need.
That's really, really great. So right now, you said you made reference to having models or as like correspondents or contributors, and you seem to have just recently, or maybe you have always, opened the doors for photographers to also be contributors to it. Are there other type of talents in the fashion industry that you welcome contributions and et cetera?
We are actively looking for more photographers that can creatively photograph these images, from the runway to the street to designers in the studio. We have another website, it's called BOUP Images, where we can work out partnerships and agreements with photographers where we can help sell their images. So that website is boupimages.com. And so there's plenty of opportunities available for photographers as well. So we're definitely interested in fashion commentators, photographers, main people. And then we just look for people to work within the company. We need everything from editors, we need bloggers, we need writers. Those are some of the things. So if you have these skill sets, please contact us. Contact me. I'll definitely talk with you and sit you down and figure things out, because we are growing. We should have our Roku channel up in the next few months. So we're really looking forward to that. And I just hope we have the content by then to be able to deliver it to our audience.
Wow, that's really great. So not only things that's on the Instagram, but you have a website. Actually, it sounds like you have multiple websites, and then you have a Roku channel that's coming soon as well, which is definitely, it seems like it's like beyond the back in the day when there was like the fashion fair that kind of traveled around, and then it was based upon the magazine submission, and then it kind of expanded. So was that somewhat of an inspiration for you, or was it just really just having a place for you to store your images and getting it beyond outside of your?
Well, all due respect to Fashion Fair, and I definitely think it was a vehicle. I didn't consider them when I started this company, but I am aware of them, and I do know of them. And to my understanding, the company no longer exists. But if I had to think about it, it's a great inspiration if I was to think it through. But one of the unique things about Fashion Fair was they toured these shows and put these shows on all these different places. But what's unique about us is the opportunities that I give people is they can be anywhere, because our information is blasted out on the web, through phones, through things like that. So we're looking for correspondents all over the world. You literally don't have to leave your neighborhood to report the fashion news to us. So if you're interested in being a contributor, we'll definitely put some things together for you in which we could utilize your services.
Yeah, so I have a kind of tough question, or maybe I would like to get your perspective on this, especially given that you have BOP News, you have BOP Images. And you're welcoming contributors, what would be different than submitting to you versus just publishing on their page, their Instagram page, Facebook page? You know how some people carry their smartphones and etc. and take pictures on their own and post it on their social media platforms. What's the difference by submitting to BOP News or BOP Images?
I'll try to cut it down to just a few things.
Okay.
One, when you submit the BOP images, you're serving the community. You're doing the community good. Everyone needs to see themselves. Everyone of ethnic descent need to see themselves doing good things in a positive light. So first and foremost, let's just start there. When you're doing that, you're helping these designers be seen by the people who they really need to be seen by. Because frankly, we don't need to be out there buying a lot of these brands that we support. So that's first and foremost. Secondly, is you're supporting a channel and getting your information out there. So when you go and submit something to your Instagram or Facebook, it goes to your Instagram or Facebook. When it goes on our platform, it goes out to on many different platforms. Many different platforms. It goes out to many, it reaches a lot more people, but more important than anything, it reaches a targeted audience. It reaches a targeted audience, and your credit will be given as well. Thirdly, depending on the level and the magnitude and the amount of contributions you bring, we could bring you on as an in-house contributor where we would create income opportunity for you based off your contributions and the contributions, the money that's generated from your contributions and through clicks and follows and things like that. So that's another big opportunity. But don't come say, oh yeah, I help you get 200 followers or 300 followers from our, that doesn't count. You know, it needs to be in a lot more levels of that. So there's definitely, there's no matter how big or how small you are, we can definitely find a way to partner and work together.
Yeah, and one other thing that came to mind is, especially as it seems like you're giving them such an opportunity to showcase their work, photographers, for example, and they're already being included, invited, or they're submitting themselves to participate in, you know, in a fashion show, to sit in the pit and etc. And like you said, they're constantly putting on their own platform, but it's just limited to their followers or their reach. And BOP News kind of amplifies it to be global, which gives everyone, photographer, the especially if they're submitting the designer, the fashion show or the model, they get so much more exposure. And that is just amazing that you have that opportunity for BOP News. Now, I want to ask, what do you foresee happening in 2024 now that we're here? What are some things that's on the horizon for you? What are some things that you plan to have or you foresee happening with BOP News or BOP Images?
For starters, we're in the process of working with some fashion commentators in other countries, with Africa being one of them, or the continent of Africa being one of them. So we're definitely interested in that. We are working with a group that is putting on Black Fashion Week in the United States, where they're going to have them, or I don't exactly know how it's going to work, but they have Black Fashion Week. So we're going to be the official news partner for that organization. So there should be a lot of footage coming from that. We have the Roku channel, so we will be actually on physical TVs very soon. And the platform within itself, we're opening it up for subscriptions and things like that. So there's a whole lot going on, you know, and then company inside stuff. We plan to get some corporate paraphernalia, I guess you call it, some t-shirts and hats and keychains and stuff like that is on the way. We're going to upgrade our microphones. So just everything is in the process of happening.
I will get all of your social media links and etc. And I'll have it embedded into the post-production part of this program. So I'll have your links. I'll get that from you offline. But I do have a question for you as a photographer, because that's where the idea originated from, was from being a photographer, and you had your targeted clientele, which was models and etc. Did you stay in fashion, or were you, you know, more diverse?
I call myself a general photographer. Every 3 to 5 years, I'll get back into just doing family portraits and kids and pregnant women and weddings and things like that. So I love being a photographer, but there's times different aspects or different types of photography can burn me out, and I gotta go back to just shooting fashion. So, you know, that's pretty much the answer to that question, you know.
But that's good. That's good. So would you, given that you're focusing in or honing in on fashion, do you have any moments that you can share where it was like your most inspiring, once in a lifetime, one of those moments as a photographer or with BOP News? Do you
Yeah,
have
well,
any highlight moments that you want to talk about?
I want to say not yet. I mean, I had some moments, but then a new moment come, and now they all is no big deal. I just like every moment is a big moment to me. So it doesn't matter if you're a small designer or a big designer, you're treated the same with respect and dignity. And I want to just take care of you and make the most out of the news that I can capture from you. So it doesn't really matter. There's no big name I want to be around more than the name that I'm in front of at the time.
Oh, that's good. That's good. So I know with in the fashion industry, and it's opened itself up to be a bit more diverse. And I know people want to, be in the big magazines like the Vogue and Harper Bazaar and some others. What sets BOP News apart from that? Like when Vogue has a fashion show, it goes on to their Vogue, magazines, they may be online and etc. What, using Vogue as an example, what will set you, BOP News, apart or amplify what Vogue is currently doing or known for?
I don't know what Vogue is doing. But I have an idea, and I definitely browse on their site sometime, and it seems like they're doing more of what I'm doing these days than what they used to be doing. So I'm a little confused too as what direction they're going in. However, what I would say separates me from Vogue is you go and look at Vogue's website, and if you count every picture that's on there, it's going to have more than likely 80% of people that are Caucasians. If you go to our website, it's going to be the other way around. It's going to be 80% of Black and ethnic models. That's the biggest difference. We got way more models that are Black than Vogue does.
Okay, well that's
Start right there. Vogue can't
okay.
be in that department. They can't be. We got way more Black models.
That's awesome because it's really good that a spotlight is put on people of color, people with, African descent. That is great because it's great to kind of highlight the capabilities that we have in our community. And I really like the play on name, which is The Best of Us. And actually it's The Best of Us Productions, which is BOP or BOUP. You may hear both. What is the correct pronunciation? Is it BOP or is it BOUP?
I coined it BOP when I first started it, but it's really BOUP. And I kind of let people say what they want to say, but it's BOUP, which rhymes with soup, and you know what else it rhymes with.
Well, that I'll leave that as alone. But that's good. So I'll try my best to pronunciate it correctly or the way that you
Yeah, it's BOUP. It's
sound,
BOUP.
how it's spelled. I'll try to say BOUP, which is cool.
Yeah, it is BOUP, and it took me a long time to appreciate that name. And when I started looking at other companies that have just weird names that don't mean anything, that's when I really started getting respect for it, like Google. What is that? What Xerox? What is that? So BOUP is something different. It's something that there's only one person want to be called that, and that's us. I don't have to fight for a domain name or nothing. It's going to be available all the time. So it stands for what we are. It's the Best of Us Productions. What we're doing is putting together production, and it's the best of us. Us. So yeah, BOUP News.
That's really good. So if someone, and since for the best talks targeted audience are dreamers and dream catchers and information seekers, if someone was interested in, let's say, journalism or interested in doing something similar with their own niche, what are some tips or lessons learned as you have developed BOUP News and how it has evolved over time? What are some lessons learned, some tips for anyone that was interested in doing something similar, but their own niche, or even, contributor or what have you?
One, first and foremost, do your research. Second, do it. Just go out and do it, whatever it is. Whether you want to be a writer, start writing. If you just gotta start writing stories and pass them out in your neighborhood, and if you want to be a speaker, speak to smaller crowds. Now, you just gotta do it. That's first and foremost. And like I said, do research on it, and then try to connect with people like yourself that are doing it. I can't say anything further than that.
That's good. That's really good. If you was to do this again, way back when, what would you do differently?
Wow. I would have started BOUP News from the day I picked up the camera. It would have started from the very, very beginning, because this would be a big, huge media conglomerate by now. That would be first and foremost. I would have just started as soon as I started taking pictures. I would have just started an outlet. But it's weird, because from the day I first started and I took the first pictures and I had them on my hard drive, and I was happy to give them to the model, and I was like, man, why can't I put these in the magazine? What can I do? And I just sought that out for years. I mean, I've been published many times, but it's a joke in comparison to the opportunities that other people get and other photographers get, and the money that they make from their work. And so I definitely would have started this a long time ago. BOUP News would have been 25 years old instead of 6 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So let's see, I have one other question for you. It kind of threw me back when you said 20, 25 years. And I'm like, man, what was around during that time to put a spotlight on, people of color in the fashion industry? Maybe would that move the needle a bit more for more diversity in the fashion industry if we had that level of exposure back then versus the way it is today? So
Let me try to answer that. It's funny you say that, because there were several Black owned magazine publications. I don't know where they are now or how they evolved. I just never really heard of them. There's numerous ones that was around modeling and sex and things like that. They're defunct at this point. And then there was, of course, as we know, maybe BET, and then some of the other nighttime video channels that would come on BET during the evening part of the day and things like that. And I don't think they're around. But even then, they didn't put emphasis on our people. They might have been a Black channel. It would be a Black fashion model walking for Tommy Hilfiger or some other big name brand that was important to us for whatever reason. Whereas it should have been a Black model walking for a Black designer and Black people buying this stuff in the masses. That wasn't happening. Normally it's the Black model celebrated, the Caucasian designer is celebrated, and he's already put on a pedestal, because it's like, wow, you're walking for this white designer. And then our people are buying those designs and those goods. So where do we win in that scenario? What's in it for us? That person is going to go home to his white family and feed his family with the money that we gave him to do so. And this is just reality. And that happens all the time. They use us to get to us. They say, oh man, this is a Black model. She's modeling for this big name European designer. We need to go out and support this model by showing this European designer that we support this model. But that European designer is only going to pay that model if he pays her. And he's going to go home at the end of the day to his family and say, oh, I just had 3 Black models in our show, and their stuff sold all these goods, and I'm going to take you guys to Disneyland with this money. He's not coming back in our neighborhood and helping out the people in the bad houses and giving turkeys away on Thanksgiving, even though we should be celebrating that, but that's a whole nother conversation. And Frank, I just want to, I'm just being real. This is the way it is. This is where our America is. So somebody got to take a stand and make a difference. And I hope BOUP News is that person. And at the end, if white media does not support me, let's hope Black media does.
I
I
am
still
sure.
got people in my corner. I'm not out of business.
But I believe so, especially as as BOUP News make more, just getting more saturated in the different communities, having contributors or correspondents in their respective areas. I mean, because it sounds like it's something that people are already doing with they're capturing like behind the scenes, front row stuff anyway. And then it just sits on their devices, and then maybe it gets,
Yeah,
elevated and posted on their Instagram pages, but that's it. And putting on a very focused media platform as BOUP News, it just sounds like you're almost building like a virtual database of people that represents the best in their communities.
absolutely.
Okay, that's good. And that sounds excellent because I know there are some inspiring emerging designers that need that platform and models too to show that they are supporting their regional. Because I know as a model for me, I consider myself like a brand representing brands, and so I share that information out on my my platforms wherever I am, Facebook, social media, Instagram or what have you. But for you, it's like elevating it. And then, but for me as a model, I'm already taking pictures, doing my
Yeah.
selfies, I'm talking to my friends, I'm capturing stuff. As a fashionista, I'm on the front row capturing that image and videos and etc. So why not submit my stuff to you too? I mean, I can have it on
Yeah.
my page as well as share it on your page, right?
Yeah, we need, we need to capture information from professionals. So you're a professional model, you're in the media, you have access to this. We love to serve our public with what our people are doing in the fashion industry. So that's excellent. Please do. Models, submit your pictures to us. We will post them on our website. We will create a lookbook or some sort of thing on our website just showing who some of the models are in the industry and what's going on. So yeah, please do. We already been thinking of doing something such as that. We just didn't roll it out yet. But if the images start coming, it'll happen a little faster.
Well, that's really good. I just see it such as an opportunity for diverse for fashion designers or just designers in general, artists that are from African descent or people of color to have a platform for them to reach the masses and other buyers or shoppers or consumers that can potentially be, it's like brand awareness. I mean, because like for me, I call myself a brand as a model because yeah, I am promoting people that, yes, is my picture, me in that outfit, and I'm tagging everybody, which is why I say I'm a brand of representing brands. But you're setting it up where if I take pictures and it's of an African descent designer, someone that's, African American or, a diverse type of designer, I can possibly contribute to you and give them a bigger platform, which is an asset. And so that's really great and honorable to have BOUP News, do something like that. Now, I know you mentioned before that is free, and I know you made some references of maybe photographers being able to get some images, posted, and you have a conversation with them to, make money. It has to pay the bills because
Mhm.
everything isn't, you can't tell your bill collectors, I submitted something and it's that sweat equity that's going to pay the bill. It's just a viable option for not only designers to submit, because they also have their own videographers and friends and family taking pictures. Or could they submit something like that along with photographers and models?
Yes, yes, absolutely. We welcome it.
Okay. But I know this will definitely give some of the emerging and more regional or US based type of designers a platform to get more exposure. And is there anything that, we could possibly do to help increase awareness of this wonderful opportunity? Because it just seems amazing that we have someone focused on people of color.
Follow, like, and share all our different platforms and social media. That is definitely something we'd be interested in. Subscribe to our platforms. We will be having a Patreon real soon where you'll get even more additional information and footage and videos and things like that, that'd be great. And some more support us on BOUP Images as well. You know, there's some great images that's going to be up there that are up there now that you can purchase. So it's a ongoing thing, and you know, the best way you can find out about it is by following us.
That's good. Well, any final words that you want to share with
Um,
dreamers or dream catchers or information seekers?
Well, I want to thank you for your time. Thank you for everyone that's watching this and their time. And all I can ask you is share this video, share our pages, support our platform.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And I'm honored and grateful that the Best Talks is actually going to have a segment on BOP News or BOUP News, excuse me, in 2024. I know that is going to be awesome. So I'll be focused, the Best Talk, since we focus on fashion, business, cybersecurity, and other diverse topics, I'll be able to have the opportunity to interview and feature designers and models and have that segment on BOUP News.
Yeah, that's that. Congratulations, and we're looking forward to having you. You'll definitely be an enhancement to our us and our image. We'll clean our act up just a little bit better, and would definitely we really appreciate having a person of your stature on our staff. You bring a lot of expertise, knowledge, wisdom, and an incredible skill set to our platform. So we thank you and we look forward to your segment on our channel.
Yeah, and thank you for the opportunity because it gives, as others may know, the Best Talks actually spun off as a birthday gift that I wanted to give to others. I announced it for my birthday in September and wanted to launch it in October to have just conversations with people with humble beginnings, because I just like to inspire people to pursue their dreams, take dreamers and make them into dream catchers, and those that are just sitting back and gathering information. I want to give you information from the Best Talks. And so having the ability to gain access through BOUP News to get some of the designers to be on this platform, I'm grateful for the opportunity, and also gaining access to additional models, especially with a targeted audience of African descent. So I'm truly grateful for the opportunity, and I look forward to what 2024 has for BOUP News, as well as our partnership and collaboration with the Best Talks. So thank you for being here, Calvin. And as I've mentioned before, I will have Calvin's information posted for BOUP News, BOUP Images, as well as if he shares his photography page, I'll have that as well, since that's where I would say his path originated from, was from being a photographer, which spun out into something that is awesome for people of African descent and people of color. So thank you again, Calvin, for being here. And thank you for being here. Follow, like, and share. And I'll see you on the next segment. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Thank you.